Hello, YouTube. I'm making another unscripted video because that's all I really have time for. I thought I would have more time at this point, but I don't. Life is busy. Nothing I can do about it. So the thing that seems to be on everyone's mind, and it's been on mine as well, is the situation with Roosh V. Now, if for some reason you haven't heard of him, Roosh V is a pickup artist, very well-known, popular pickup artist. And most people hate him, and I can totally understand why. I don't really have a strong opinion on him one way or another. As far as I know, he's not hurting anybody with his views, and pickup artist techniques can actually provide some much-needed confidence for a lot of young men or older men, who are severely lacking in it. I mean, if sleeping with women is what's going to make them happy, then go for it. As long as they're not, forcing the women. I see nothing wrong with, trying to use strategy to convince a woman to have sex with you. I mean, in the dating scene, women have tons of power, so I see pickup artist strategy as a way of sort of leveling the playing field a bit. Anyways, so what's been happening is that Roosh wanted to plan get-togethers all over the world in various countries for his followers, for people who read his stuff and are fans of his, I guess. But he's faced a huge backlash. Countries all over the world are, talking about banning him and not letting him have these meetings and all that. And worse than that, it's people, all sorts of people are in favor of this, are in favor of banning him, not even allowing him to meet with his fans, not even allowing his fans to meet up. And the excuse that they use is that, he's a horrible person, his ideas are harmful, but more than that, they're claiming that he's an advocate of rape and all sorts of other horrible things. Now, him being an advocate of rape accusation comes from a somewhat satirical article he wrote, which I will link to below. And in this article, he's essentially making a sort of tongue-in-cheek comment about the fact that the way feminists deal with rape prevention is to tell men not to rape, and basically tell women that there's nothing you can do to prevent rape, like don't even bother trying. And his sort of joking response to this is to say, well, if you want women to protect themselves, to actually make an effort to not put themselves in situations where they'll likely to get raped, is to legalize rape on private property. And that way no woman in their right mind would ever go into a room alone with a man on private property, because he'd be able to rape her legally, and women would learn how to defend themselves and all this kind of thing. So it's a stupid article to write, really, especially I suspect he did it on purpose because he knows that it would get a reaction. So he's using it intentionally, but at the same time, so many people are just taking this at face value and saying, "Oh, he's a rape advocate," as if anyone in their right mind is actually a rape advocate. Like, if you hear someone is a rape advocate, if you're a reasonable person, your first thought should be, well, are they really? Let's see the evidence. I'd want some pretty strong evidence before I believe someone actually was advocating publicly for rape, saying that rape was okay, rape was a good thing. I mean, that's how a reasonable person would think. But no, it seems like so many people are just willing to accept that other people are evil, because think about it, he has beliefs that you probably disagree with. He's a pickup artist, and that's slimy and disgusting to a lot of people. So, so they're very eager to think the worst of him. And on top of this, it's a bit of a free speech issue. Well, not even a bit. It's a pretty big free speech issue. I mean, you have people that are openly saying this person is disgusting, their views are disgusting, so they should not be allowed to speak. And if you think that way, then you don't support free speech. You're not a free speech advocate. You have some authoritarian beliefs, and you should just learn to accept that or change your ways. Because the whole idea of free speech is to protect ideas that are not popular. That's the whole idea. I mean, if if free speech was only about protecting acceptable, reasonable ideas, then we wouldn't need any laws to protect free speech, because it would, reasonable, acceptable ideas are always going to be allowed to be expressed. It's the dangerous ideas. It's the ideas everyone gets angry about and upset about. Those are the ones that need to be protected by free speech laws. That's what we need. Now, in some countries, I know in the UK and Canada, there's hate speech laws, which actually make certain types of speech illegal, like when you're advocating for the harm of a certain group, or like KKK meetings, that kind of stuff. So that's actually illegal in those places. And so I friends who live in UK and Canada are trying to use this as their excuse of why he shouldn't be allowed in, because his views express hatred of women, so therefore it's hate speech that he talks about. And I'd like to see some pretty strong evidence of that before I was willing to believe that someone who, so he's actually advocating for the harm of women. As far as I can tell, he's advocating for the, having sex with women. I don't know if that constitutes harm if they're agreeing to it. Even if they've been convinced to agree with it, it's still they still have the option of saying no and not actually going through with the act. And it kind of scares me how willing people are to just become authoritarians, just completely trample all over the freedoms of people they disagree with. Now, I know I probably shouldn't be surprised by this, but it's scary. Frankly, it's scary because particularly for me, because I have beliefs that would cause even reasonable people to label me a racist or a sexist or a misogynist or anything like that. Just questioning the status quo can get you labeled as a horrible person. So if I was ever public with all my views, if this channel was linked to my real name, then there's a chance that I could be facing this kind of thing. I could be banned from entering countries, or I could be arrested for hate speech laws if I'm in the wrong country. And that's scary. That's scary that someone could, be affected like that just for having the wrong views, just for having views that, are unacceptable. And I mean, this is without me even doing any kind of real life advocacy or, actually believing anything harmful. Like, I don't think any of my beliefs would actually lead to anyone being harmed, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I have wrongthink. I suffer from the disease of wrongthink. So, I'm at risk of basically being censored if the wrong people, and luckily I'm a nobody. Luckily nobody cares about what I have to say for the most part. So I'm not a target for anything like this. But who knows what could happen in the future? 10 years from now, I might be huge. You never know. So this kind of thing is worrying. Anyway, so if basically the end of the story is, it doesn't matter how shitty Roosh's ideas are. He should be allowed to share them. People should be allowed to listen to them. And if you disagree with that, then just accept the fact that you don't support free speech. Just learn to live with that idea about yourself. I don't know if I'd be able to, but that's just the way it is as far as I can see. Anyways, that's pretty much all I have to say on this topic for now. Feel free to leave comments and question my opinions. And as always, like, dislike, subscribe, or share as you see fit. And I wish you all the best.